Hello, this is Miss J, and I'm going to be cooking today roasted Indian cauliflower. Now, the reason you don't see my face is because my daughters are diligently working on their remote schoolwork, and they're not holding the camera, but hopefully sometime later on this week, I'll be able to record myself cooking something. And this is what I'm making for dinner, so even though you probably don't have a lot of these ingredients, I just thought I'd record it so you have something to look at. This is a cauliflower, and it's sort of like broccoli. It doesn't taste as good as broccoli to me, in my opinion, but when you roast it and you add all the spices, it's delicious. So this part I'm not cooking, I'm disposing of that. Obviously, I washed my hands already, and I washed the cauliflower. I don't really know how to cut cauliflower except to just do it, just to go in there. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason on how you're supposed to cut it because it's so tight together. It's almost like a brain. I know that doesn't sound appetizing, but I promise this meal is appetizing. So I'm cutting the cauliflower, and all of this is debris, so we just throw that away. We have some Indian spices that some of you may have some of this in your pantry. This is coriander. I had that already. I had chili powder and I have turmeric. This is called garam masala. I didn't have this. I had to order it from Amazon. You could also get it in any Indian food store. You don't, unless you cook Indian a lot, you probably don't need something this large, so you might be able to borrow some from a neighbor. And I have salt. So we're going to continue to cut the cauliflower. Keep it in mind, keep your fingers way in the back so that you don't cut yourself. And I'm going to cut down the stalk a little bit because I mean, some people like to eat that part. I don't really like to eat that part. Now keep in mind not to rub your face, your nose, touch your hair or anything when you're cooking because you know I'll make you go back and wash your hands again and again and again. And then you'll be on dishwashing duty. So, all right, so I'm going to just continue to cut the cauliflower. I do want to say that I miss you all. I was looking forward to spring break, but this is a little much. I hope that you're all safe and you're healthy at home and that you're not taking chances. I did go outside in my backyard today and I sat and read for about an hour. It was really nice today. It was probably close to 60 degrees and it wasn't that windy. So I hope that you guys are taking advantage of the nice weather, maybe taking a walk, but keeping your distance from anyone else. There are a lot of people getting sick, and I wouldn't want you guys getting sick because a lot of us, including myself, have previous compromising health conditions like asthma. So our immune system is already compromised. So keep that in mind when you're with anyone, and don't give your parents a hard time. You have to be at home, so oh well, so let's make the best of it. I know I'm one to talk. I'm going stir crazy too. I don't like being alone in the house. Well, I'm only alone in the house part of the week. Actually, I'm never alone because I have my dog, but we're all doing our own thing. My kids have been working on schoolwork like 6-7 hours a day. I'm working on schoolwork on the computer and on emailing parents and texting students. So yeah, it's been a lot. Anyway, so here's the cauliflower already cut up, and this is the pot that I'm going to cook it in, the final meal. So I'm just going to use this as my bowl. Let me cut this one a little smaller so they cook evenly. I don't even know if my girls like cauliflower. I don't typically like it, but Anita Sharma made this dish once, and when I was tutoring her son, and I fell in love with the dish. So I looked up the recipe to try to figure out how to make it. So typically this dish would be made with chickpeas or potatoes, but nevertheless you would have to roast the cauliflower first. So I'm going to take all of this and put it in the bowl, and then I'm going to mix the cauliflower with olive oil and the spices. And it's going to roast in an oven for 1/2 hour, so that's 30 minutes at a 200-degree oven, which really isn't high at all. So I guess it's low and slow for this recipe. And that's what the cauliflower looks like in the pot. So then I will clean all this off my hands. I don't have to wash my hands right now because I'm not using ingredients that I have to worry about cross-contamination or spreading any kind of bacteria with. I'm just using cauliflower. This is a vegetarian meal, so you don't have to worry about constantly washing your hands like we do when we touch meat or eggs. And like I said, although you may not have these ingredients at home, I just decided for your sake and for my sanity that maybe I'll videotape me doing this just so that I have some interaction with you guys and hopefully you appreciate it. If you do like it, I'd like you to tell me that you like it, thumbs up or something, a quick hello, so that way I know that I'm not wasting my time and that I'll do it next time. Okay, so now I need 2 tablespoons, so that's the big one, right? Tablespoons with the B in it of oil. And I'm just gonna spread that all over the cauliflower. I guess mostly it's to help soften the cauliflower because it's pretty stiff right now, and also to help all the spices stick to it. And then I need 2 teaspoons, that's the second largest one, of each of these. So the garam masala, the coriander, and the salt. 2 teaspoons of salt seems like a lot. I might put a little bit less. And then I need 1/2 teaspoon of the turmeric and the chili powder. Chili powder can be very spicy, so depending on your taste, whether or not you guys are used to spicy food or like it at all, you could leave it out or maybe just put a little less. My girls and I like spice pretty well, so I might put the full amount. All right, so 2 teaspoons of the garam masala. Now, if you notice, I didn't even open it yet. It's brand new. There's ways, if you don't want to buy this, there's ways to mix a whole bunch of ingredients together to create your own recipe, but I thought it was cheaper and more efficient to just buy it. Now I can't even open this thing because it doesn't have a little tab to open it. So I'm going to get another knife. If you have trouble opening something, make sure you ask someone at home. Don't do what I just did and stab the cover. I don't want any of you getting hurt. Oh, wow. I could smell it already. It's very pungent. It smells good. If you don't like Indian food, you're probably not going to like any of these spices, because this one especially, this is distinctive Indian flavors in it. So, okay, here's one. I'll just sprinkle that all over the top. And here's one more. This smells really good. I think all of my neighbors are going to be jealous of my meal today because my house is going to be, it's going to have nice, now remember I told you odor could be good or bad, or smells could be good or bad. Odor actually is not a term you want to use when you're cooking because it reminds you of something bad, even though it could be both ways. So it has a very distinct smell. To me, it's very exotic. I like it. The more turmeric I could get in my diet, the better. From what I understand, turmeric and ginger are really, really healthy spices. And all right, so I use these two. I'm going to put them aside so I don't get confused. And now I'm going to wipe it down again because now I'm going to put it in the salt, and I don't want to mix these seasonings into the salt. If you notice, I already have the salt out. I don't know why I need so much salt. I'm only going to put 1.5 teaspoons instead, because I could always add more salt later, but I can't take it out. So Now I need a half a teaspoon. So a half is 1-2, remember a half. And a lot of you have measurements for homework from me, specifically for cooking. So make sure that you are doing your homework and keeping up with all of this, because hopefully we'll be back together soon and you guys won't be so rusty. So here's a half a teaspoon of chili powder. I hope that's not too spicy. But I don't think I put any more chili powder in the rest of the recipe, so it should be okay. And here's some turmeric. And the turmeric is nice and orangey. If you ever see people with orange fingertips, it's usually because of the spice. The spice does dye things, so you have to be careful if you get it on the counter or on your clothes. It will dye your clothes, and it will dye the countertop and your fingers. So after using it, make sure you wash your hands. I'm using the spoon, so I don't necessarily need to, but once I start mixing everything together, I will get it on my hands. Okay, so I'm gonna lay that down. Now I have everything that I need together. I'm gonna move this out of the way and get rid of it. I wish I had that flat plastic cutting board that we have in school. It's so much easier to use and less cumbersome than this. This one is a big hard wooden one. It's kind of heavy. But being that I don't have access to that now, I have to use what I have. So let me move it out of the way. And show you what it looks like. So now I have the olive oil mixed in there, the salt, the turmeric, the coriander, the chili powder, and the ground masala. And I'm just gonna mix it up like this to make sure that I have the spices incorporated throughout every piece of cauliflower. And the olive oil that's on there will help make it stick. It almost looks like, to me it looks like popcorn with seasoning, but we'll see. It smells delicious. I know it doesn't look that great right now. But here I have, let me wash my hands. There I have a cookie sheet with aluminum foil on it. And so that it doesn't stick, I'm gonna put a little bit more olive oil on the sheet. And then I'm gonna spread it around. My hands are clean, I just washed them. So I'm using that. If you don't like getting your hands dirty, I know a lot of you don't like the texture of some of the food. You could always use a spoon to stir it so that you could incorporate the ingredients. And with this, you could use a paper towel and spread the olive oil all over, so you don't have to constantly worry about washing your hands or the distress from the tactile ingredients. Oh. So now I'm just pouring the cauliflower on the cookie sheet. This one didn't get that much, so let's see. And then I'm gonna spread it around. And I'm gonna put it in the oven for 30 minutes on 200. And when it's done, I'm gonna take it out and I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it on YouTube or Facebook or however I post this. Anyway, I hope that you try some cooking at home and let your parents know that you can help in the kitchen, and that I think you'll appreciate, you know, your parents and what they do on a daily basis for you a lot more if you participate in the chores. So cooking is definitely a chore, but hopefully you come to find it to be a labor of love. Anyway, till next time, Miss J here. Later.